afternoon. How are you? Good to see you. Alan Edgett, Brad Friedman. We started FanServ as a mobile app development company back in 2010. So we like to say that it's not an overnight success at all. It's a lot of hard work to get to where we are today. And where we are today, and a little bit about where we came from, because I think it sort of ties in together what you're going to see here, is we've come from really a background of developing apps, working with fans, working with teams, working with brands, working with the sponsorship side, and then, of course, the sports publishers, us being publishers ourselves in terms of the development. So we try to, we're at that intersection of fans, advertisers, developers, and the teams themselves. And it's our history and our experience that has really sort of led us down this path of coming up with a solution that we think is really relevant for the marketplace that we're going to present today, called SportServ. And really, this is the key to why we're doing what we're doing. And it's understanding the fan, it's knowing the fan. And when we say knowing the fan, it's knowing the fan's behavior in the context of sports, and because it's unlike any other content consumption out there. Fan engagement, fanaticism, the emotional connection that fans have is really relevant, or really sort of displayed in this chart here, where you see the peaks and valleys. This has been from day one. We started doing, like I said, the team apps in 2010, and from then until now, this traffic pattern has been the same. It's about the 5 hours around the game, 2 hours before, 3 hours during, a little bit after. But you can see here, there's the little trough, that's the All-Star break. End of the season, games against Montreal are your big peaks. This is the Bruins app. So this is why we do what we do, because the fan, like I said, the fans, their fanaticism, their emotional connection to the teams, to the sport itself, to the content that's provided, is what we're trying to marry with sponsorship dollars and team acceleration. And so, like I said, this is why we do what we do. And what we're doing now is, and what we're here to introduce, is what we're calling SportServ. And it's about introducing an ad unit that leverages live game feeds and has allowed us to engage the fans when the games matter most. So if you look at that chart, we pull in now live feeds into the ad units themselves and give us the ability to target audiences while they're in that sports content around the games and teams and leagues that they're following. And Alan has been monumental in leading the product, and so I'm going to turn it over to him and let him explain a little bit about how it works, and we'll show some examples as well and try to get some feedback on that.
Great, thanks, Brad. So my name is Alan Edgett. I joined FanServ last year. Actually, I've been doing digital since the late 90s. I'm also from San Diego, so I say that so everyone feels sorry for me. So my sports teams suck routinely. Trying to build empathy, but I've been doing digital for quite a long time, and frankly have been let down by digital for about 20 years. Everyone maligns banner ads. They are relatively boring. Few of you even click on them anymore. But yet, they're still one of the few ways to get your name and word out there. And apps are fantastic. You know, as we heard in the last session, 90% of time spent in app. What they didn't mention is probably 89% of that is in Facebook. It's in one app. And the curve of app usage is very steep. Tinder, Snapchat, those are doing great. The long tail, very difficult to get people to come into your app. It's very difficult to promote your app. It's very difficult to promote your brand with an app strategy. So what does that leave us with? And yet all of us are in the sports vertical, and one of the last probably remaining things in America that people can bond around is this live sports event. Just as we saw it with the Super Bowl, it's one of the few things that we can still talk about at the water cooler the next day. So when I got to FanServ, one of the first things I wanted to try to build, and what we spent the last 6 months building, is to try to take the much maligned banner ad unit and make it more live. Make it more like almost a Twitter feed. So that's what we did. So we pulled in real-time stats from across a variety of leagues. I'm going to show you some examples here in a second with NC2A men's basketball, but we can do this for golf, MLB, NHL, doesn't matter. We take the feed in, and we do a number of things with it. We, of course, can utilize stats, scores, timers, things like that in the banner ad. That's catchy, maybe a little clever, but not altogether too advanced. But if you think about it for just a second, what I want to leave you with is the banner ad is aware of what's going on in the game. In particular, I'll give you one example. It's aware when there is, for example, a timeout on the floor. Since it's aware, it can change itself. And so some of the samples you'll see will show you how the banner ad is changing. But I'll probably talk through my most exciting. The banner ad unit can change from a static banner that is commenting about the game's about to start or that the game's currently in progress to switching over to a video ad unit and show the television commercial that is also probably playing on TV at the same time. We're not directly linked with the broadcasts, but we know that there is a TV timeout on the floor or a break in the action at the Masters. And so those are some of the examples of how, once you get around the idea of this old-fashioned banner ad unit is now live and aware of what's going on in the game, some of the ways in which you could manipulate and use that. So I'll show you some examples here. On the team side, of course, it's probably the easiest to understand. We know exactly when the game's about to start. We can do countdown timers across banner ads so you can sell tickets. We know that the game has started, so we could, no, we don't need to see Google Live. So as I was saying, and should we go to the live action one? Let me just click this guy here. So again, we know that the game's about to start, so we can do countdown timers, which you see across the top. As the game begins, our feed is updated about every 10 seconds. The banner ad unit would change and indicate that the game has started. So then the messaging can change to buy tickets for a future game. We have a tap to score feature. I'm passionate fan, and I watch Premier League games all the time, and I hate it when somebody tells me the friggin' score when I haven't seen my game yet. So we wanted to be polite to the users, where if you wanted, you could tap to see the score. We have data on we have a number of feed providers, so we have all of the in-game stats, fouls, players, team stats, league status, etc. So you can kind of see how you could utilize that with various content forms. These are all standard banner ad units also, so we can run these across the web, and that's why I kind of opened up with the app usage is a very steep curve. One of our philosophies is that you've got to get the word out in as broad of a arena as you can to drive eyeballs and awareness maybe back into your app. And Brad's chart there where app usage spikes right around your game, if you can augment that by a few hours before the game and a few hours after, you've really increased the awareness. From a brand perspective or an agency perspective, there's just tons of things you can do with this. We have lots of discussions going on, obviously with the QSR folks. Financial folks like this quite a lot as well. They can participate kind of in the game with their fans as a brand sponsor, meaning they're promoting the banner ad unit, but the banner ad unit is aware of what's going on in the game. I'm a USC fan, so if I'm watching the USC-UCLA game and we are losing, and I see an ad unit from one of my brand clients, and they commiserate with me because I'm losing to UCLA. If they are aware of that, which they are on their Twitter stream, now they could be aware of that in their banner ad units. Suddenly my affinity to that brand is tremendously heightened because they're kind of participating with me, suffering with me, if you will. And on the same side, they would know if their team's winning, et cetera. I already mentioned that the banner ad unit is aware of TV timeouts, it's aware of quarter breaks, halftime, how the game is progressing. We have full access to the scores. We could write score differentials so we know if it's a close game. So if you use your imagination, if you're on the brand or agency side, this could almost be very much like the NFL Red Zone, where for very exciting games, you could change the commentary in the banner. A couple things just to tease you with we're exploring right now. There's no real reason I can't have your social media team actually have update capabilities to the text inside the banner. What we're doing right now is pre-configuring banner ads, so we have a positive and a negative if they win or if they lose, but we're also testing real-time updates. And then the final thing that we're very excited about, one of our founders is the announcer for the Anaheim Ducks, so he's used to getting on television and doing his thing. We have a live partner. It's not Periscope, it's another partner, but similar if you're aware of what Periscope does, where you have live broadcasts, and we're putting the live broadcast unit right inside the banner ad. What we envision is, complementing what you might find on broadcast for commercial breaks or period breaks. You could have real analysts or other analysts or even celebrities commenting about the game. All of that would be wrapped in a brand sponsorship. So we think this kind of opens up and extends the power of the traditional banner ad unit, brings more eyeballs to buy tickets, or more eyeballs around a brand at the key moment when it matters most to the fan. So we're pretty excited about it. Again, standard tech in terms of deployment. We can go across the web using any programmatic means, et cetera. So the ad unit itself doesn't burden your development teams or anything, and it's not confined to any particular app or particular website. So with that, I think we'll first off ask if that was too fast, or you have any questions or like to deep dive on anything.
No question.
I guess I would ask, from an engagement standpoint, have you seen an uptick in the amount fans typically engage with standard banners versus what you have here?
We're actually rolling out a test right now with a very large publisher to kind of do a case study on upticks. But the banner unit's interesting. It will not only generate additional clicks, but repeated engagements. The unit, in many ways, especially if we do what we found with the live unit, is it actually can take over the website. So we're actually testing a kind of pay-per-view model to the advertiser to kind of reward the publisher, because sometimes the content's more compelling than the content they're on. So we should have a full case study. This is kind of hot off the press. We're just really launching it today, but we should have some more data here in about 30 days.
And to that point, if you download the NSF app, you'll see a few banners for Reply Buy, where we've incorporated the technology promoting their drinks, hosting the Hop City tomorrow night. So there's a countdown for the drinks that's tied to tomorrow night's NC2A game. But you'll be able to, again, it'll be countdown, and then during the game, it'll continue to promote Hop City, going down there, and then saying we've got a house app that we're running, so you can see it live, with the app and open it up.
Yeah, I believe at 4 o'clock today there's a college basketball game kicking off. Actually, each day at 4 o'clock in the app, if you have the NSF app and you see our advertisement and you click on it, it'll pop up an interstitial, which will look, I believe, like the Taco Bell interstitial. But if you watch while the game is running, you'll see that, here we have this kind of a static thing showing you have 2 minutes to grab a taco, but the banner will actually change. So it will say different things throughout the game. The way we are going to market with some brands is actually building little storyboards for what they would like to say throughout the game. First period, you might say something differently at halftime, third quarter, fourth quarter, et cetera. So you can kind of experience it yourself in the app.
You have the capability of linking it to a key play during the game, like a home run or touchdown, or is it all based on time?
No, we have, like I said, full stats, so we certainly have score. Each sport is a little bit different. So we have different stats based on different scores. Most of them are pretty real time.
They're all event-based.
But it is all event-based. So whatever events that you have, typically, basically, if you can envision it inside of an app, like a sports app would have, we have access to it in the banner app now.
I think that one of the challenges with banners overall is sort of viewability and ad fraud. So, what do you got? What is your take on that? And
yeah, so we use a full programmatic buying platform. That's one of the biggest to work with third-party viewability vendors, fraud vendors, et cetera. So as well as the industry has handled that problem, we feel like we're up to snuff on that. And we do videos as well. I have banner ads here just because I thought they were fun to pick on, and we're changing them. But again, we don't really care whether the stats sit over a video or, and like I said, we're even pioneering live video.
These ads are on desktop and mobile?
Correct. In-app, mobile web, desktop. And again, one of our philosophies is that a lot of the folks watching the event, when the minute it goes to commercial, are cutting over and checking out Snapchat, and that's kind of where you want to be.
And what kind of click-through rates and statistics are you seeing? I know you said you haven't really tested it fully yet, but.
Yeah, initial pass, we're looking at probably a 2x improvement on click rates. But we're also seeing weird engagement patterns that you just don't see, and I encourage you to try it yourself. I mean, if you're a fan and you've clicked on a banner ad that said tap to score, and you notice the score's updating every 10 seconds, you have a habit of just sitting there and watching the ad, which is weird, because it turns it into more like an app. So as I said, we may even need to kind of price it beyond a CPM, more of like, an engagement price. But right now, we're just going to market as a regular CPM. Maybe a slight increase. Any other questions, or?
Outside of any team relationships, do you have any relationships with any other kind of notable online outlets spanning sports, music, anything along those lines?
A few larger publishers. I don't know if
Sports.
yeah, all sports publishers.
Sports
Yeah.
vertical. I mean, again, that's where we've come from. That's our experience. And so we started on the team development side. We've seen that grow up. We've seen Wi-Fi and stadiums expand. We've seen sort of the disparate parts that have come together. We've also seen sports publishing mature into desktop blogs and conglomerates into apps and mobile side. And so.
And Brad kind of didn't really mention it. In between our app building and this, we built out a more traditional ad network. So we have about 500 sports publishers who've agreed to give us inventory. More recently, a few folks are giving us exclusive inventory. So we have kind of a traditional ad network model as well as a programmatic piece. And but this is more of a kind of our custom created ad unit.
Great.
All right. Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.